Appalachian Trail when I found that herb they call ginseng. Growing deep down in the woods, that's where I found the goods. The herb that
Hello from Herb TV. My name is Dave Lalazern. As one of the most popular human remedies of all time, the ancient herb ginseng is surprisingly little understood by today's modern herb user. Ginseng is one of the oldest and almost certainly among the most famous herbs in world history. It has been used in China for thousands of years, usually combined with other herbs, to restore vital energy, especially in the elderly and people weakened by illness. Today, we're going to try to dispel some of the mystery that surrounds this herb. First, we'll go hunting for wild ginseng with Francisco Dremsa, who's been harvesting wild ginseng for over 20 years. Many people consider wild ginseng to be the most powerful variety. Then we'll talk with medical herbalist Matthew Wood about the uses of ginseng. You might be surprised at what he has to say. Finally, ginseng is a very important cash crop for many farmers in central Wisconsin. You may be interested to learn that 90% of the ginseng harvested in North America is grown in Wisconsin. In the last segment of this program, we'll take a look at the growing and harvesting of ginseng. So, let's go ginseng hunting with Francisco.
Oh, here it is. Yeah, it's a nice three-pronger here. This tree was cut down, maybe like 10 years ago and left a bunch of debris and tops here, which is good. It builds the soil. The ginseng will like to be in a rich soil. I don't see any other plants right now around here, but this one three-pronger right here could be big enough to dig. Move some of this debris here. So I'll dig down a little ways and see what we got. You got to tear away some roots that are in the way. Now this root here looks like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Probably about a 7-year-old root. So we're going to dig this root while we're here. Clean the soil and kiss the earth a little here. Thank you, Mother Earth. Give us medicine we need. Okay, I have to go down here and loosen the soil up. So I try to get under the root, loosen the soil up, free up the roots that are tying it in the ground, move the soil away by hand. You get down here, you can get down here and feel till you get to the last little rootlet. Then you pull that out and you come up with one of these.
Hold it still for me. That's a nice one.
It's a nice one. It doesn't have any arms or distinctive legs. The with the doctrine of signature about herbs and plants is the plant that looks the most like a body is actually more valued. So you will find some ginseng with arms, legs, and will have very distinctive body look. This one here, I mean, all roots have a crown. From the top of the root to where the plant's growing is called the crown, and indicates the years. This one could be more like 8 or 9. I can see now by looking at the little nodules here. I could see better. Could be an 8 or 9-year-old root. Has no berries right now. Probably picked off by the wildlife. And this would be a real good place to put some more roots, obviously. It loves it here. The soil's perfect here. So I'll take out some of these berries and pop them in my mouth. These are some of the ginseng berries that I picked up just last Friday, and as well as leave some where I picked up the root that I dug. So yeah, these are the ginseng seeds, and if you take this red pulp, usually I'll take it off with my mouth. I'll suck the red pulp off, because when you go inside the pulp, you'll find 2 seeds in each berry. Right there's 1, and right there's 2. So that's why I take the red pulp off, because I want to separate the seed, and then I'll plant that seed individually. Now, if you look at the seed, if you could see it, you'd have to see it pretty close there, but it actually has a little tail on it, like the sproutling is already starting to sprout. And so when I plant the ginseng, that's what I'll do, is one individual seed will go in a hole.
Okay, go ahead.
So I take off the pulp, the red pulp of the berry with my mouth. And spit the seeds out. And those one at a time, we'll put them in the ground here and cover this area about every 3 inches apart. I'm going to put a seed in here. Now this would be a real good place to put a few more rootlets in here too. We'll know we have ginseng next year growing right in this spot. I think I'll just cover those seeds hole up. Lots of nice thick wood leaf mulch there. Now this root here has been kept moist. It's come out of the ground a week ago on Friday. It should have no problem reestablishing itself. Now, I've been doing this for since 1972, so this has been going on for about 33 years of trying to keep the ginseng healthy and well established in this woods. There's no cows in this woods. There are horses, 3 horses, but the woods is 75 acres, so the horses may step on a few plants, but not enough that it's going to, hurt the ginseng. As long as the woods is not heavily logged, it should be a perfect habitat for the next 100 years for ginseng to grow. Now, if you plant the ginseng from seed, it takes 1.5 years to come up. So you might get some seed and plant it in your soil somewhere and say, oh, the next year I didn't see it. Well, you have to go back the 3rd year, the 4th year, because it grows very slow. But for 1.5 years from seed, unless you stratify the seed, it won't be coming up. So you can plant it in the fall, but the next fall you won't see it. The next spring you could see it as something not much bigger than a strawberry plant. But many people tell me they planted it but it didn't come, but I say go back the 3rd year, go back the 4th year. Maybe even it's going to take 5-6 years before you're going to actually see the plant, unless it's well marked there, and it should be up in 2 years that you could see it. And so, for people that are planting ginseng or getting some seeds, I really, like to inform them that don't give up, because it's a slow growing deal, and if they get a patch established, then every year they got their seeds right there to take to replant. So I'll take this plant, which now we dug for medicine, and put it in my bag, top and all, and that'll be the end of that plant for this year here.
Matthew Wood is a medical herbalist who practices in the Minneapolis area. He has written several books about herbs and herbalism. He's going to give us some insights into the difference between Asian and American ginseng. He'll also tell us about the effective uses of ginseng.
Well, here we have some wild ginseng. I took it out of a bottle that was being stored. It was picked quite some time ago. But you can see elaborate. On the wild ones, we see the long neck there, which means this is in the ground for, more than 10 years, 10, 12 years. There's another one about 8, 9 years. This one's big. Wow. Well, this one grew in lusher soil, so it's a little bigger root. It's only about 8 years though. Ruts. This one is, let's count it. Let's not waste anything. Let's count it. Boy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and I may have missed 1 or 2. So ginseng, American ginseng this is. And the Chinese ginseng is considered to be the yang representative of the family. That is, that it tonifies the yang, it builds up the yang, which is the fire side of the body processes. When it comes to medicine, Chinese medicine, yin and yang are pretty practical. They're fire and water. Yin is fire, is water, and yang is fire. So the Chinese one is a yang tonic, but the American one is a yin tonic, which means that it builds up the fluids when there's been some loss of fluids. And so that means lack of saliva is a typical symptom. Lack of the whole digestive juices of the digestive tract. It's bitter and sweet, and the bitters generally and the sweet remedies are what get saliva going. Just the two tastes that get your saliva sumptuous again. And so we have dry mouth, and if you don't have good saliva, your teeth go bad. So you might have a dry tongue and bad teeth. I remember Christopher Hobbs showing a slide, the herbalist Christopher Hobbs showing a slide of, boom, I'm getting hit by these leaves, of a patient he saw with his teachers in China that was needed American ginseng, and the teeth were rotting and the tongue was dry and a little bit furred and very dry, and the mouth was dry. So see, that would get the saliva going, and that generally when the saliva gets going, then the digestion gets better. Usually when you have dry digestion, you have problems with gas, bloating, fermentation even of the food, just sits there. And so you need bitter and sweet remedies actually are real top notch here. Another one would be burdock here. Okay, so it's good for dry stomach. It's another indication from Chinese medicine. Now the Western doctors in the 19th century, the few who used it, considered it to be dry saliva. In Chinese medicine, That would be kidney yin deficiency, because the teeth are decaying, and so the kidney yin, the profound yin of the body, is on the decline, because the kidney yin produces the bones and teeth and hair and skin, the hard parts of the body. So that means kidney yin deficiency. Kidney yin deficiency would also be exhaustion, listlessness, lack of energy, infertility, lack of sexual stamina. Now the yang tonic also has those, but in a different way, somewhat similar. The yang is too weak to hold out the yang, so the yang is too weak to hold in the yin, so the yin is flowing out. So those people have fluid discharges, leukorrhea, spermatorrhea, prostoruria, too much peeing, older men with peeing too much at night. Whereas with kidney yin deficiency, we have drying out. The urine is more concentrated, darker, dried out, skin drying out, etc. It's also used for lung yin deficiency, when the lungs get dried out after an inflammation, or say after a fever. After fever, people can get dried out, their lips are dry, and they need to rebuild the internal fluids, and ginseng is particularly good for that. Now, that's the textbook. It's a yin tonic, but the plant is more subtle than that. And when you go out and you dig some and you find some and you touch it, and the root is very gentle and soft, and the leaves are kind of very soft, and the little berries are very soft. And it's a very, very kind of gentle, feminine plant, I would say. So it goes more also to that feminine core of yin as well. And so I use it like in menopause for women who are dried out from, they sweated a lot and they got dried out, or they remember sweating a lot and losing it. That would be kidney yang deficiency, but drying out of the skin, the secretions, and so that's kidney yang is when the fluids are actively leaving. Kidney yin is when your skin's all dried out. You're not sweating as actively. So it's feminizing, or it's a good female menopausal restorative. The Chinese books don't quite say that, they're more concerned with men and their yang tonics. But this is kind of women and their female tonics. I believe that it goes deeper than that too, that it can help women of any age, that it's kind of restores the feminine that's lost its luster through adversity, bad experiences, or hormonal changes or problems with modern life, the way hormones are getting banged around by better life through chemistry.
What about vaginal dryness?
Yeah, it should be a remedy there. Maybe even constipation, definitely skin, and loss of fluids later in life. And it may be somewhat of a hormonal restorative too. Now, by comparison to these two, see, Chinese ginseng strengthens the yang, American ginseng strengthens the yin, and Siberian ginseng adjusts the balance between the two when it's rattled or off. It's neither yin nor yang, it's kind of in the middle. It's adaptogen. So it's kind of neat that way with those three ginsengs. So.
What about the popular conception that ginseng is an energy tonic?
Yeah, well, that's true of both the Chinese and the American. The Chinese red or yang tonic ginseng, Panax, what's it called? Ours is Panax quinquefolium. What is theirs? Panax?
Ginseng.
Panax ginseng, right? Too simple. I knew it was simple. Now that's very stimulating. It's said not to eat it in the summertime, at least if you got a hot summer. Both of them give you energy because you rebuild that yin and you have more energy, and also you rebuild the yang and you have lots more energy. And truck drivers and stuff will take it instead of coffee, or speed or whatever. So it can be used as an artificial stimulant. That's going a little too far. I think the Chinese red would be better there.
Wisconsin ginseng growers harvest between 500,000 to 600,000 pounds of roots annually. The best roots are harvested after a minimum of 3 years in the ground. Because of this long growing time and the densely packed beds the ginseng plants grow in, fertilizers and fungicides are used. The ginseng plants also require about 70% shade, so the beds are covered by black mesh netting for most of the growing season. Let's take a look at each phase of commercial ginseng growing. Ginseng seeds are hand harvested in the fall. These seeds remain dormant for 19 to 21 months, so before they are planted the following fall, they are stratified. The seeds are layered with sand in boxes, which are then piled and covered with more sand and left to age in this mound, which is kept moist. The seeds must go through a cold, warm, cold sequence before they will germinate. This field has just been planted and has not yet been covered with netting. Here is a second-year field. The netting is rolled up at the end of the growing season to mimic the loss of shade in fall, like the natural cycle of the plant. Notice the field of soybeans growing next to these beds. The soybeans fix nitrogen in the soil the year before ginseng seeds are planted. These ginseng beds are covered by the black netting. Any parcel of land can only be used for one crop of ginseng. Subsequent attempts to grow ginseng on the same field invariably fail. No one understands why this happens. Each fall, the berries are picked and the seeds are depulped before they are stratified. The first step in harvesting the ginseng roots is stripping the above ground parts of the plant from the top of the bed. Large mechanical diggers are then used to unearth the ginseng roots from the beds. The unearthed roots are hand-picked and crated, mostly by Hmong immigrants who have settled in central Wisconsin in recent years. After the roots are harvested, They are washed in the large machine you see here. Then they are spread on mesh shelving and dried in large oven-like buildings. This building holds 13,000 pounds of ginseng. The temperature is kept at 100 degrees with a humidity level of 30%. It takes about 10 to 11 days to dry the roots to a 6 to 8% moisture content.
Important in these drying facilities to keep the air moving. If you don't keep the air moving and if you do not pull the humidity out, you will get, it's called the green root. And the inside, instead of when you snap it open and it's nice and white, it actually have a tinge of green. And this root is just about dry too. It's nice and white inside, kind of a tannish white, and that's just what they want.
Once the ginseng roots are dried, they are brought to a grading facility where they are sorted and graded by hand. The dried roots are cut to a uniform size for sale, primarily in Asia. The small pieces that are cut off the main roots are used to make powdered ginseng capsules.
These will go in a package. They will line them up in a line like this, and they'll go in a like a quarter-pound package, and they'll be sold like that. Different grades bring different prices.
So you have different grades right here?
Right. Like these, this is a longer root. This is a cheaper grade than this.
What? No, why is that?
Shape. People just like that shorter root.
Oh, is that right?
Like these are probably medium size. These would be large. These are bigger than these. So these would bring more money than these.
Okay. Fresh ginseng roots are also processed here. These are shipped fresh to Chinese restaurants that use them to make soups and other ginseng dishes. They need to be used within 7 to 10 days after harvesting. I hope that this has helped you to better understand the real story behind the use of ginseng. Modern clinical research almost always determines that ginseng has no therapeutic benefit, but a long history of use and the popularity of ginseng around the world tell a much different story. For Herb TV, I'm Dave Lalazern. Thanks for watching.
Sing little thing and swing. Sing little thing and sing. Makes an older man more foolish and a younger